There are different ways that microphones are connected to recording devices, whether it be camcorders or audio recorders or even mixers. The one on the left is called an XLR cable and connector. And you can see in there there's three prongs. There's a left, a right, and a neutral prong. And that neutral prong is also the ground prong, which helps keep out any noise or a lot of the noises that could be introduced into the wire. XLR wires are also called shielded wires usually, which means there's an extra layer of material around the actual wires that also helps prevent any electrical pulses or other types of things that cause unwanted sound in your audio recordings. On the right are what we use typically with our DSLRs and our smaller cameras. If they have external inputs, they're usually 1/8 or also commonly called mini plug jacks. Those are not as ideal as the XLR. And you can see here there's a mono and a stereo. The mono, while the XLR has three cables, it has that ground cable and left and right. The mono only has the one signal coming in. So whatever is being recorded is on both channels and they can't be separated. Like, so you can't turn right channel off and just have the left or vice versa. It's recorded together. But there are stereo mini plugs, and you can see there. And how you can tell is there's an extra little black strip on the plug itself, which divides the plug, the metal part, into three parts instead of just the two. So in that sense, it is like the XLR, except for it is on a very tiny wire or wires, and it is not shielded, so it can't protect that audio signal as well as the XLR. I put the 1/4 inch in here as well. You don't see that very often on recording devices, but you do see that sometimes on the end of microphones, and you'll have to adapt those down to a size that or the connector that your recording device uses, whether it be XLR or a mini plug. You have those different types of connectors because different things will accept different types of connectors. Most consumer camcorders and pretty much all DSLRs or mirrorless still cameras will only accept the smaller 3.5 or 1/8 or mini plug, as we commonly call them. It will only accept those jacks. So if that's what you're going to shoot on, it's best if you can find a microphone that has the mini plug on the end of the microphone, so that you don't have to use any adapters, because the more adapters you introduce into the mix, the more chance you're going to get some noise. Other cameras will accept XLR inputs, like the camera on the right, and to be honest, the little ports there are part of this handle that can be taken off and put on to this camcorder, and you can actually find those for DSLR mirrorless cameras as well. So if you're going to really go, whole hog into this and you want to shoot with a DSLR but you want to have good quality audio, you might think about investing in something like that. Now, professional cameras, professionals who use high-end cameras are probably not going to be recording their main audio into a camcorder. They'll be using an external recorder. Here are some examples of external audio recorders. Now, when you're talking about high-end like film or very professional video production, they have much larger devices, but they're essentially the same idea of these two devices right here. The one on the left is the Zoom microphone, the H4n, and it records on, I think it records on regular SD cards It has both the mini plug input as well as you can see on the end on the bottom, it has XLR inputs. It also has microphones right on the device, which are pretty good if in a pinch, right? So what you would do is you would record the audio, put your microphone source into the recorder, and record it. Also recording audio on your camera, just using the camera mic, because you need those together to combine them in Premiere. And Premiere has a really good tool for matching those audio, so you don't have to do a lot of trying to line it up and making sure the what is on your external audio matches what is on your video. The one on the right is a smaller version. I think these are like, well, they're less. I think they're less than $300 now. The one on the left is quite a bit more. It's basically a smaller version of the Zoom. We use these here on campus, and I actually have one myself. And it's the same concept, except for it does not have the XLR inputs. It only has the mini plug input, and it records on the little tiny, I think they're micro SD cards. So, but again, has the external microphones that you can use in a pinch, and sometimes you get much better audio quality on these than you can if you put it right into your camera. So this is always an option if you have these devices. And truth be told, you can also use your phones to record audio, as long as you can do that input a microphone into your camera. Now that we've talked about microphones, let's talk about different types of sound that you might use in a video. So first we have original sound, and that just means whatever it is that you're recording, whatever sound that is creating, that's original sound, right? It's basically if someone's talking or singing or whatever, that's the original sound. That's basically a sound that you want to capture. Ambient sound is anything that's kind of going on around your subject, that's kind of happening independently from what you are recording. Sort of like traffic noises, maybe you can hear kids screaming if you're interviewing somebody at a playground. Very common on our campus in Mesa, the Polytechnic campus. We're right next door to an airport, so we hear helicopters and airplanes flying over all the time. If you're recording in a coffee shop or something, you might hear somebody laughing or talking next to you. Any of those noises that you can hear that's kind of going on around but not actually part of the video. Sometimes you want ambient sound, sometimes you do not. Other types of sounds that you might, or audio that you might use in videos, are special effects. For example, if you're doing a scene where a phone has to ring and someone has to answer it, you don't actually have to call that phone to make it ring. You can use a special effect of a phone ringing to make that phone ring look like it or sound like it's ringing. You could have, there's all kinds of special effects out there online. All you have to do is search. You can have rockets sound of a rocket engine taking off, or birds, or dogs barking, or women screaming, or laughing, or just pretty much anything you could possibly want. It exists on the internet, and it's probably free. We also have narration, which we also call a voiceover. That is audio of someone speaking that is recorded separately from the footage when it is shot. It's really common in documentary style film and video productions, and there's a lot of fictional TV shows and movies also that use narration.
It's a big game, all right, but there's a bigger one first. Trash can toss. Lose it, and you can kiss your dignity goodbye. At least for the plane ride to Philly.
Not trying to dress on this road trip.
There it is.
The holy grail of Christmas gifts, the Red Ryder 200-shot range model air rifle.
Ralphie, what would you like for Christmas?
Horrified, I heard myself blurt it out.
I want an official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle.
What I want for Christmas is a Red Ryder BB gun with a compass and a stock and this thing which tells time. Wow, that's great.
A Red Ryder BB gun with a compass in the stock and this thing which tells time. No. Shoot your eye out.
Oh no, it was the classic mother BB gun block. You'll shoot your eye out. Oh no. You'll shoot your eye out? My mother must have gotten to Miss Shields. There could be no other explanation.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out! No, I want an official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
There she was, Keisha, the girl of my dreams. I used to dream about a girl named Dee Dee, but then I moved. And it seemed like I could never get her off my mind.
Wake up. Prince.
Wake up. What's going on? What? Scared the death out of me.
You hear a lot on television, even in like industrial video or training videos. You'll hear music in the background, and music's great because it can really add meaning to video, but as well as it feels a little more polished very often when there's a little bit of music in the background. We call that music, when it's in the background like that, a music bed, right? So it's the foundation and everything else is on top of it. So it's typically what you do when you edit, you put it in the lowest track in the editor and on your audio side. Couple of things to keep in mind. Don't think that for some videos it's sort of okay to use popular music if you're just doing it for yourself to mess around. But if you think you're going to use a piece of popular music for something that you're going to publicize, or especially if you're going to try to make money off of it, you can't do that, all right? You have to get permission from not just the artist that sings it or the band that sings it. You have to get permission from the songwriter sometimes, but definitely from whatever company publishes it, sort of like Sony Music or a company like that. And it is not cheap. We're talking thousands of dollars usually, tens of thousands actually. There's also a phrase out there called royalty free. Now, royalty free doesn't mean it is free. It may still cost money, but what it means is that for popular music, every time that music is purchased or played, the band and the publishing company, everybody makes money off each time. So just because something is royalty free doesn't mean you don't pay for it. It just means that you pay for it once and then you get to use it based on whatever license you purchased when you paid for it. Sometimes it's used in one production, sometimes you use things in multiple productions. But there are free, royalty-free music websites where you can get pretty good sort of background, instrumental type of pieces of music that you can use in your videos. And if you look in the resources module or section, there's some information on where you can find some of those. To finish up our discussion on microphones and audio, a lot of things can happen when you're out recording, and very often if you're going to have something go wrong, it goes wrong with your audio. So let's ask the question, what could go wrong? Well, if you're using wireless microphones, you may have forgotten to put fresh batteries in your microphone, or you may have forgotten to get batteries, and you get somewhere and you have a wireless microphone that you cannot use without batteries. So make sure that you bring extra batteries and that you put fresh batteries in every time you shoot, because I think I mentioned it before, with wireless batteries, like for a lot of stuff, the stuff will keep working until batteries get down to like 20% or whatever. With wireless, the batteries start getting down to like 80%. You can start hearing some hissing or popping. If you're hearing hissing and popping while you're recording, which you should be listening if you can while you're recording, that is a sure tell sign that you need to stop what you're doing and put new batteries in. All right, so that's something that can go wrong. Microphone placement. If you're using a dynamic mic, if you remember, it's not a powered mic, so it doesn't pick up very far. Sometimes people will put them on lecterns, but they're like, a good foot away from the speaker, or even when the speaker turns their head left or right, that microphone may not pick up that audio as well as you would want. And then with lavaliers, you got to make sure that those lavaliers are placed about, I like to say 6 to 8 inches, it could be up to like 10 inches below the person's chin. If you put it on their neck, like if they have a t-shirt and you put it on the neck, that may be a little bit too far under the chin, so you might have problems. Sometimes you'll have women who have big clunky necklaces, and you can't place that microphone too close to that or it'll bump it. So you got to just sort of pay attention to where you're putting that microphone. You don't want to put it too far away, you don't want to put it too close, and you want to make sure there's nothing's going to rub on it or interfere in it anyway, because people move, and when they move it may cause a problem. You have to be careful about where you put your cables. So if you're using wired microphones and you're also like plugging your camcorder in or other devices, make sure that they do not cross over each other, because the power cords will usually, even with good XLR cables, interfere with that signal and cause hisses and hums and stuff in your audio that you don't want. So my last bit of advice about audio is, while you're recording, you can avoid a lot of these issues, or at least avoid getting back and sitting down to edit your video and then finding out you have horrible audio. Just listen to it while you're recording. And if you can't listen to it while you're recording, because sometimes some cameras don't have they use the same jack for the headphones as they do for the external mic, record a little bit and then play it back before you actually start recording your actual footage. All right, so headphones are key, and best are over the ear, but even if all you have are earbuds, that's better than not checking at all.